There is a moment in every person's life when silence becomes unbearable. A moment when you look at yourself in the mirror and realize that you've been shrinking. Not because the world told you to, but because you stopped believing that you could stand tall. This audiobook is about ending that silence. It's about the rebirth of confidence, the reclaiming of power, and the awakening of belief. Welcome to Believe in Yourself for Success in Life. In this audiobook, you'll discover 10 timeless principles, each one designed to rebuild the foundation of belief. You'll learn how to silence the voice of doubt, how to reprogram your mind, how to rise when you fall, and how to walk through the world with quiet, unshakable conviction. Because belief isn't a feeling, it's a decision. It's the point where hope turns into action, and action turns into transformation. So as you listen to this, promise yourself one thing. You won't just hear these words, you'll use them. Because this audiobook isn't entertainment, it's construction. You are rebuilding the greatest structure on earth, your belief in yourself. And remember this line, no one can believe in you more than you believe in yourself, and no one ever will. Chapter 1. The first contract. Let's start with the truth most people avoid. No one is coming to save you. No one is coming to hand you confidence, to validate your dreams, or to grant you permission. If you want to change your life, the contract begins with you. The ink is your consistency. The paper is your pain. The signature is your decision to never doubt your own potential again. The moment you say, I believe in myself, you're not speaking a wish. You're signing that contract. Every day people ask for a miracle, but the greatest miracle you'll ever witness is the day you stop waiting and start believing. Because belief changes posture. It changes presence. It changes what the world gives back to you. Look around you. Every person who ever built something great had one thing in common. Before the world believed in them, they believed in themselves. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. Self-belief doesn't mean you never doubt again. It means doubt no longer decides for you. And that's the first transformation. You stop letting uncertainty write your story. So right now, take a breath and repeat quietly in your mind, I am the one who decides who I become. Say it again. Because that's how belief starts, not with noise, but with conviction. And if you're listening to this, it means some part of you is ready. Not perfect, just ready. Ready to stop playing small. Ready to stop apologizing for your ambition. Ready to stand up and say, enough hiding. Because hiding doesn't protect you. It buries you. You were not designed to stay small. You were designed to expand, to take up space, to lead, to create. But expansion demands belief. When you stop believing in yourself, you shrink to fit other people's comfort zones. But when you decide to believe, the world rearranges itself to match your new posture. That's how energy works. That's how reality bends. Chapter 2. The moment you forgive yourself. Here's something few people talk about. You can't truly believe in yourself if you're still punishing yourself for who you were. Forgiveness is the doorway to belief. Too many people carry guilt like armor. They think it protects them. It doesn't. It poisons them quietly. The truth is, you can't build a new future with the same hands that are busy holding on to the past. Belief starts when you say, I'm done apologizing for my failures. I'm learning from them. You failed? Good. That means you tried. You fell? Perfect. That means gravity noticed you. Now get up And let every scar remind you that you've been tested, not defeated. The world doesn't need your perfection. It needs your persistence. And you can't persist while carrying regret. So tonight, write a letter to your old self. Thank them for surviving. Forgive them for hesitating. Then promise them something, that from now on, you'll never abandon your own potential again. That's belief. That's healing, disguised as growth. Chapter 3, The Science of Confidence. Let's go deeper. Belief isn't just emotional. It's biological. Every thought you repeat becomes a signal. Every signal becomes a pattern. And every pattern becomes your reality. Your brain doesn't know the difference between truth and repetition. It only knows what you feed it. So if you tell yourself, "I'm not enough," 1,000 times, your brain will build highways of doubt. But if you start saying, "I'm capable," those same neural paths begin to reroute toward strength. That's the science of self-belief. Repetition builds wiring, and wiring builds behavior. Every affirmation, every visualization, every action becomes a vote for who you're becoming. This isn't spiritual fluff, it's psychological physics. When you begin to see yourself differently, you begin to act differently. And when your actions change, your outcomes follow. Confidence is not born from success. Success is born from confidence. So if you've been waiting to feel ready, stop. Readiness isn't a feeling. It's a state you enter when you act in faith, not fear. You're not supposed to have it all figured out. You're supposed to move first and figure it out while walking. That's how confidence compounds, through evidence. Each time you keep a promise to yourself, your belief grows stronger. And one day, you wake up and realize, I no longer need to convince myself that I can, because I've already proven it. Chapter 4. The Fear of Being Seen. Let's talk about something universal. The fear of being seen. You want to believe in yourself, but every time you step forward, a small voice whispers, "What if they laugh? What if they don't like it? What if I fail in front of everyone?" That voice isn't your enemy. It's your alarm system. It's proof that you're leaving your comfort zone. But here's the irony. The very act of hiding to protect yourself from judgment becomes the cage that suffocates your potential. You cannot build confidence in the shadows. You must be willing to be seen, imperfect, human, real. The people you admire weren't fearless. They were just tired of being invisible. Belief begins where approval ends. When you stop performing for applause, you start performing for purpose, and purpose is louder than fear. So let them talk. Let them misunderstand. You're not here to please. You're here to grow. And growth is noisy. The greatest minds, the strongest leaders, the innovators who shaped history, all were misunderstood at first. But they believed anyway. And that's the message. You don't need universal approval to live an exceptional life. You just need one thing: the courage to back yourself when no one else does. If these words are hitting something inside you, it's not random. It's your reminder. Your inner voice saying, "Wake up, believe again." Before we go deeper, make a promise to yourself right now. If something in this audiobook moves you, don't just nod. Write it down. Reflect. Take one action today, however small, that proves you heard it. And if you're serious about growth, hit like, not as an algorithmic tap, but as a contract with yourself. A silent vow that says, "I'm in, I'm ready to believe again." Drop a comment. to share which line or idea hit you hardest, because your words might help someone else find belief again, too. And if you want to walk this journey further, subscribe, not for entertainment, but for accountability, because growth is not a solo act. It's a daily rehearsal of belief. Now take a breath, because in the next chapter, we'll go deeper into the mechanics of self-trust, how to rebuild it when you've broken it, and how to make it unshakable. The world doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you believe you deserve. Chapter 5. The Mechanics of Self-Trust. Before you can believe in yourself, you must learn to trust yourself. And that's not about positive thinking. It's about pattern recognition. Self-trust is built through evidence, tiny moments when your actions match your words. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, belief deepens. Every time you break one, belief cracks a little. That's the secret most people overlook. Confidence doesn't collapse in one moment of doubt. It erodes quietly, one broken promise at a time. You said you'd start that project. You said you'd wake up early. You said you'd focus, save, commit, change. But when you didn't follow through, something inside you learned not to rely on you. And that's why you hesitate now. Not because you're incapable, but because you've taught yourself that your words don't mean much. So let's reverse that pattern. Start rebuilding trust one small action at a time. Don't aim to be perfect. Aim to be consistent. Keep one promise today, then another tomorrow. Tiny wins, measurable proof. Belief doesn't grow from motivation. It grows from momentum. That's why self-belief feels so solid in disciplined people, because every act of discipline whispers to their subconscious, I can depend on me. And that's power. Not loud, not flashy, but quiet, unwavering power. You'll know you've rebuilt self-trust when your mind starts saying, I've got this, not as a wish, but as a fact. That's when your energy shifts. That's when confidence becomes your baseline, not your exception. Chapter 6. Reprogramming your inner dialogue. If you could record your thoughts for one day, what would you hear? Would you hear encouragement or constant criticism? Because here's the truth. The way you talk to yourself determines the limits of your reality. Self-belief begins with self-language. Every word you whisper in your mind is a command, and your brain obeys without question. Say, I'm not good enough, long enough, and you'll find evidence to prove it. Say, I'm capable. And suddenly, opportunities start revealing themselves. The world responds to your internal vocabulary. So, pay attention. Notice the tone you use when you talk to yourself. Would you speak that way to someone you love? If not, why are you saying it to the most important person in your life? You? You can't bully yourself into greatness. You can only build yourself there. Start catching those silent attacks as the I can't, I'm not ready, I always fail, and replace them with deliberate direction. I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm not there yet, but I'm getting better. This isn't delusion, it's design, because your inner dialogue is your design software. Change the script, and the story changes. If you feed yourself doubt, you'll live in hesitation. If you feed yourself belief, you'll live in motion. And motion is where success hides, not in thought, but in forward movement. Chapter 7. Failure as fuel. Everyone says, believe in yourself until failure arrives. Then belief feels harder to hold. But here's the truth that separates dreamers from doers. Failure isn't a verdict. It's data. It's the world showing you what needs refinement, not who you are, but what you must improve. When you fail, your brain screams, "See, you weren't enough." But what if you answered back, "No, this was feedback, this was fuel." Winners don't avoid failure, they use it, they study it, they build from it. They understand that belief without resilience is just optimism, fragile and temporary. But belief with resilience becomes unbreakable. Think of every time you fell short, the missed goal, the lost chance, the painful rejection. Now ask yourself, did that moment end me or educate me? You're still here. That means it educated you. Failure isn't your enemy. It's your mentor, disguised in discomfort. You don't grow through winning. You grow through recovering. Every setback strengthens your capacity for the next rise. So don't bury your failures. Study them. Don't erase them. Recycle them. That's how self-belief matures. It evolves from, "I can do this," to, "Even if I fail, I'll rise again." That's when nothing can stop you. Chapter 8. The Power of Decision. There's one moment that changes everything. The moment you decide. Not wish, not hope. Decide. Decision is the birth of direction, and direction is the foundation of belief. You don't need to see the entire staircase. You just need to take the first step and trust that the next will appear. Indecision kills more dreams than failure ever will, because when you wait for certainty, you end up waiting forever. Belief thrives in movement. It suffocates in hesitation. When you decide, your brain shifts from confusion to clarity. You stop negotiating with your potential. You stop living half committed to everything. Most people want confidence before they act. But confidence doesn't come first. Decision does. You decide. You move. You adapt. Then confidence follows like a shadow. That's why people who decide quickly seem lucky. They're not lucky. They're just decisive. Decision is the signal that tells your mind, "We're doing this." And once the mind accepts direction, it mobilizes every resource to make it happen. So stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for clarity to appear before you start. Clarity comes from commitment, not contemplation. Decide today. Choose your path, and let that choice ignite your next chapter. Chapter 9. The Environment of Belief. Belief is a living organism. It grows or dies depending on its environment. If you surround yourself with negativity, doubt becomes your native language. But if you surround yourself with growth, belief becomes inevitable. So audit your circle. Who do you talk to? Who do you spend hours around? Who are you letting shape your self-image? If they drain you, distance yourself. If they inspire you, stay close. You don't owe anyone your energy, especially those who mock your ambition. You can love people and still outgrow them. Protect your energy like you protect your goals, fiercely, because belief thrives in community, but only in the right one. Find people who remind you who you are, not who you were. People who challenge you, not cage you. That's how you evolve. That's how you stay focused when doubt tries to creep back in. Because no one climbs alone, but not everyone deserves a place on your climb. Chapter 10. The Rising Standard. There comes a moment when belief shifts from something you practice to something you become. That moment arrives when you raise your standard, when you decide, "I'm done settling for less than my potential." Belief doesn't just make you confident, it makes you accountable. Because the higher your standard, the smaller your excuses. Stop lowering the bar to match your current level. Raise the bar to pull yourself higher. That's how evolution happens, not by waiting to feel ready, but by acting as though you already are. You'll never outperform your self-image, so upgrade it. Start seeing yourself as the person who follows through, as the person who delivers, as the person who doesn't negotiate with laziness, because that's who you are becoming. Every time you push past resistance, your new identity strengthens. Belief, at its core, is identity construction. It's the process of becoming the version of you that success requires. And when you start living from that version daily, life begins to respond in kind. Belief isn't luck. It's loyalty to the person you're becoming. Before we move forward, pause right here. Hit like, not for me, but for you. Let that click be your declaration that you are rebuilding trust, language, and direction from the inside out. And in the comments, write this: I decide to believe, because when you put your belief into words, it becomes real. Next, we'll go deeper into how to maintain belief when life tests you, when people doubt you, and when everything around you seems to crumble. Because that's the ultimate trial of faith. Not believing when it's easy, believing when it's dark. Take a breath, because the next chapter will light that darkness. Chapter 11. Belief in the Storm. There will come a time, maybe it's already here, when everything you've built feels uncertain, when the plans you made begin to crumble, when your progress feels invisible and your effort feels wasted. In those moments, the voice of doubt becomes deafening. It whispers, maybe you're not good enough. Maybe this isn't meant for you. Maybe you should stop trying. That voice has broken millions of dreams, but not yours. Not if you learn this. Belief is not tested in comfort. It is tested in chaos. When everything falls apart, your belief must become your foundation. It's not what you stand on when life is easy. It's what keeps you standing when life is hard. You see, storms don't destroy strong roots. They reveal them. Every difficulty you face is asking you one question. Do you still believe, even now? Because that's the moment when life separates those who wanted success from those who were built for it. When it feels like everything is against you, stop fighting the storm. Breathe, observe, listen. Because storms have a strange gift. They strip away what was never real. They remove fake confidence, false plans, and forced friendships. They leave you with what truly matters, your raw, unfiltered belief. If you can hold that, even when visibility is gone, you'll emerge unshakable. The storm will pass. They always do. But who you become during it will never fade. Belief in the storm is not blind optimism. It's trust in your ability to rebuild, to adapt, to rise again, no matter the damage. You are not fragile. You are forged. And the harder the storm hits, the stronger the metal it leaves behind. Chapter 12. The Patience of the Builder. In an age of instant gratification, patience has become a superpower. We've been conditioned to expect everything fast. Success, validation, results. But belief grows slowly, like roots beneath the soil. Unseen, steady, unstoppable. Most people quit before their roots reach water. They dig halfway, get tired, and say, it's not working. But the truth is, it was working. They just stopped too soon. If you can learn to stay patient when progress hides, you'll achieve what others call impossible. Because patience is not passive. It's strategic waiting. It's the quiet confidence of knowing your time will come if you keep planting. And that's what builders understand. Every structure takes time. Every foundation needs settling. Every masterpiece begins invisible. So when you're tempted to give up because results haven't shown, remember this. You're not behind. You're in incubation. And belief is the heat that keeps your vision alive in that darkness. Hold it, protect it, feed it, because patience is proof that you truly believe. Chapter 13. Defeating Self-Doubt. Doubt is a master illusionist. It doesn't destroy you directly. It convinces you to stop trying. That's how it wins. It sneaks in quietly, using your past failures as evidence, twisting them into a story of limitation. But here's what doubt doesn't want you to realize. Every time you've doubted yourself before, you've still survived. You've made it through every impossible day, every heartbreak, every disappointment. You are undefeated by everything that tried to end you. So, what makes you think this next challenge is any different? The voice of doubt will always be there, but it doesn't have to be in control. You can acknowledge it without obeying it. You can hear it and still move forward, because courage isn't silence of fear, it's motion despite fear. When doubt says you can't, answer with proof. Show it the times you already did. Belief doesn't erase doubt. It simply outvotes it. And when your belief casts more votes than your fear, you win. Chapter 14. Your pain has purpose. The truth about pain is simple. It's either your prison or your teacher. Pain will visit everyone, but what you do with it determines whether you stay broken or become built. When something hurts, loss, rejection, failure, don't rush to escape it. Sit with it. Ask it, what are you here to teach me? Because pain always carries a lesson wrapped in discomfort. Maybe it's teaching you endurance. Maybe it's teaching you boundaries. Maybe it's teaching you gratitude. Belief allows you to extract meaning from pain instead of letting pain define you. You see, the greatest people you admire aren't great because they avoided suffering. They're great because they learned to transform it. They didn't let pain close their hearts. They let it carve them open wider. They didn't let failure harden them. They let it shape them into something unstoppable. Pain doesn't break believers. It builds them. Every scar is a certificate of strength, proof that you've been tested and you're still standing. So next time life burns you, don't hide the ashes. Use them. Rise from them. Because belief isn't pretending everything's fine, it's knowing that you will be. Chapter 15. The Stillness of Strength. When life gets loud, strength often hides in stillness. Belief doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it looks like you sitting quietly, refusing to quit even when the world thinks you should. Sometimes it's not about fighting harder, but about standing longer. Stillness is not weakness. It's clarity. It's the space where wisdom replaces reaction. Most people panic when progress slows, but the wise stay still, observe, and let clarity emerge, because in stillness you rediscover direction, and direction restores belief. Stillness is when your inner voice gets loud again, the one that says, "You were born for this." When everything feels uncertain, return to stillness, not to escape life, but to remember who you are before the noise began. You don't have to have every answer. You just have to have enough belief to stay. Because sometimes not giving up is the action. Sometimes patience is progress. Chapter 16. The Rebuild. Eventually, every storm ends. The sky clears, the noise fades, and you're left standing in the quiet aftermath. This is the moment where most people rest, but not you. This is the moment you rebuild. Because belief doesn't stop when life gets better. That's when it begins its real work. Rebuilding means taking everything you learned in the storm and applying it. It means not returning to your old patterns just because comfort returned. You're not the same person you were before. You're wiser, sharper, stronger. You've earned your new identity through endurance. So build again. But this time, with intention. This time, not for validation, but for vision. Not to prove anything, but to express everything you've become. Rebuilding after the storm isn't about recovery, it's about rebirth. You're not starting over, you're starting stronger. The storm tested your belief. The rebuild proves it. If this chapter spoke to you, take a second to breathe. If it reminded you that your pain has purpose, hit like, not for me, but as a silent nod to yourself saying, I'm still here, I still believe. And in the comments write, I'm rebuilding, because those two words are your comeback story. Next, we'll dive into something even deeper, how to move from belief into becoming, how to turn faith into focus and vision into victory. Because belief is the seed, but becoming, that's the forest. When you're ready, continue to the next section, becoming the version of you who wins consistently. Chapter 17, Becoming the Version of You Who Wins. Let's start with a question. Who are you when no one is watching? That person, not your public image, not your filtered life online. That person determines your future. Belief is not loud confidence or public energy. It's the quiet consistency of the version of you who does the work when no one's clapping. The version who practices when it's boring, who stays disciplined when it's inconvenient, who still shows up when no one notices. That's who wins, because winners aren't built in applause. They're built in the silence of repetition. The truth is, everyone wants to believe they're destined for greatness. But destiny favors discipline. You don't become great by feeling ready. You become great by acting ready even when you're not. Belief is the energy that keeps you moving before results arrive. Discipline is what makes sure those results do arrive. When belief meets discipline, momentum becomes unstoppable. So start asking yourself every day, what would the best version of me do right now? And then do that. Because when your daily actions begin to align with your highest vision, you stop chasing success and start attracting it. Chapter 18, Alignment over Motivation. Motivation is temporary. Alignment is eternal. You can't rely on feeling inspired to act. Some days you'll wake up tired, lost, or uncertain. But if your actions are aligned with your purpose, you'll move anyway. That's the secret. People who depend on motivation will always struggle. People who depend on alignment will always win. Alignment means you've made peace with the work. You've stopped negotiating with your goals. You no longer wait to feel like it. You simply do it because it's who you are. Belief becomes unstoppable when it fuses with identity. When you stop saying, I want to be disciplined, and start saying, I am disciplined. When you stop saying, I hope I can win, and start saying, winning is what I do. That's the level of self-definition where change becomes permanent. Because your subconscious begins to obey your identity, not your excuses. You can't outperform the image you hold of yourself. So if you want a higher outcome, you must build a higher identity. That's how belief becomes muscle memory. Chapter 19, The Psychology of Consistency. People think success is about doing extraordinary things. It's not. It's about doing ordinary things extraordinarily well and relentlessly often. Consistency is the ultimate proof of belief, because nobody stays consistent with something they don't believe in. When you keep showing up even without visible reward, that's faith in motion. And every repetition is a vote for the person you're becoming. Most people quit not because they're weak, but because they underestimate how long success takes. They give up halfway, right before compounding begins. If you can stay consistent longer than your doubt lasts, you'll win. Because doubt has an expiration date. Consistency doesn't. And that's what makes belief unstoppable. It doesn't rely on emotion. It relies on endurance. Chapter 20, The Energy of Execution. You can read all the quotes, repeat all the affirmations, visualize every dream. But if you don't execute, belief never leaves the realm of imagination. Action is what translates potential into progress. The people who succeed aren't always the smartest, the most talented, or the most experienced. They're simply the ones who moved. They took the leap. They made the call. They started messy, scared, uncertain, but they started. Belief without execution is a wish. Belief with execution is a weapon. You don't need perfect timing. You just need motion. The hardest part is the first step. But once you're in movement, belief catches up, because the mind finds evidence in action. Every small task you complete becomes another brick in your wall of confidence. And soon, that wall becomes a fortress. If you're waiting for motivation before you act, you'll wait forever. But if you act, motivation will meet you halfway. Chapter 21, Winning the Inner War. Every person has two voices inside, the one that says, keep going, and the one that says, you can't. Belief is choosing which voice you feed. Some mornings, that voice of doubt will sound convincing. It will bring evidence, logic, even memory. It will show you past failures as proof that trying again is pointless. But belief is louder than logic, because logic says, be realistic, and belief says, be relentless. The inner war never ends. You just get better at winning it. You win it through repetition, through the discipline of showing up even when the mind says no, through silence, because sometimes you don't argue with doubt. You outwork it. Every time you choose progress over panic, you weaken the old voice. Every time you choose belief over fear, your inner strength grows. That's how warriors are made, not through talent, but through training the mind to obey faith, not fear. Chapter 22, The Mirror Test. Stand in front of the mirror. Look at yourself, not your reflection, but your reality. That's the person responsible for everything that comes next. Belief is not an external journey. It's an internal awakening. The day you stop blaming, stop comparing, stop waiting, that's the day your power returns. Everything changes the moment you stop asking, when will things get better? And start asking, when will I get stronger? Because when you get stronger, everything else gets better by default. The mirror doesn't lie, but it also doesn't judge. It simply reflects what you've decided to become. So if you don't like what you see, change what you repeat. Change your habits, your choices, your tone. Start building the person you respect. Belief in yourself means becoming someone you admire. That's the real goal. To look in the mirror one day and say, I don't need anyone else's validation. I trust who I've become. Chapter 23, Identity Shift. Here's something few people understand. Transformation isn't about adding, it's about shedding. You don't need to become more. You need to remove what's holding you back, the old habits, the old fears, the old stories. Belief requires identity shift, a conscious decision to outgrow your former self. That's uncomfortable because part of you will try to drag the old identity along, but evolution demands loss. The butterfly doesn't negotiate with the cocoon, it breaks it. And that's what belief does. It breaks the shell of limitation so the next version of you can breathe. You will outgrow people, patterns, and places that once felt safe. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. Growth will always feel lonely at first, but it's not isolation. It's elevation. Because you can't reach new altitudes while holding on to what kept you grounded. And final reflection. As we close this audiobook, pause for a moment, breathe deeply, and remember, you've always been capable, you've always been worthy, you've always been enough. You just needed to remember. So the next time doubt knocks, let it find no space to stay. The next time fear whispers, let belief answer louder. And the next time someone asks how you made it through, just smile and say, I believed, because that's all it ever took. The most powerful thing you'll ever build is belief, because once you have it, everything else is possible. If this audiobook changed something within you, pause right now. Hit like, not for the algorithm, but as a personal declaration that your belief is active, alive, and unstoppable. And in the comments, write one line. I believe in myself, fully, finally, and forever. Because saying it seals it. And if you're ready to keep building, subscribe, not to this channel, but to your own evolution. Because the journey doesn't end here. It continues every single day you choose yourself again. And when you share this audiobook, you're not just sharing words. You're passing on fire. Somewhere, someone is waiting to remember their strength because of your courage. Disclaimer: this audiobook is for motivational and educational purposes only. It does not replace professional guidance, therapy, or financial advice. Its purpose is to inspire awareness, discipline, and confidence on your path toward self-mastery and success. The world will try to test your limits. People will underestimate your power, but the truth remains, no one can stop a person who believes. So walk tall, speak softly, move intentionally, because you are living proof that belief, steady, sacred, and unshakable, can build an extraordinary life. Believe in yourself and change your life forever.